Hello, it's me. I am indeed alive. You may be wondering, Hannah, are you sitting on your floor? Is it nighttime? And you're just recording this on your floor in your flat? Well, the answer to that is yes, yes, yes. It is. Well, I am, and it is. I went to Barcelona in January, and it was so fun. It was really, really fun. And it's now July, and I have a video about the trip that I took in January. Because that sounds. It's par for the course, isn't it? You guys know me. Come on. What else did you expect? I'm having a good time reliving my lovely holiday in January while holding out for my upcoming holiday in August. And there's a lot to update you guys on, but for now, it's just going to be the selfish, mediocre content of the videos that I took in Barcelona with a little voiceover that's half scripted and half bad. So I hope you enjoy it, or just don't, because I enjoy it, and that's all that counts. So I hope you guys are doing good, and let's just go to the video. On the first day, we arrived in the morning, and Kimmy very kindly came to meet us at the airport. Peter and I were tired from being up so early, maybe around 4 a.m. We didn't want to tackle the city right away, so after stopping at the cafe across the street from Kimmy's apartment, we decided to go for a hike. We saw these cute little parakeets along the way, which I loved because it felt so tropical compared to Scotland. A couple blocks later, we were already at the foot of the path. Barcelona is surrounded by mountains, so it's not hard to find a local hike when you're on the edges of the city. We stopped a couple times along the way to use Kimmy's binoculars and try to read signs on buildings and see if I recognized anything from the first time I visited last year. I think I did okay on that test. We also stopped at the top to eat oranges, which got tricky really fast because we didn't have any containers to hold the peel or catch strips, and the wind was so strong. After enjoying the beautiful view, we headed back down to go home, and Kimmy actually agreed to bleach Peter's hair, so that turned into the evening activity. Kimmy has been my hairdresser for probably 6 or 7 years now, and she's always doing her own as well. Since Kimmy shaved her hair and couldn't do hers this time, she was really excited about doing Peter's. It's always fun going to Salon Kimmy because she's very resourceful. And here's Peter modeling an example of this. Round one. Done. Only mildly yellow, but it looks so nice. Day 2, and we spent it in the city center. After getting off the train and going down a slide that was inside a Sephora, we wandered past some major shopping areas and towards Old Town until we found a nice cafe to stop in for some journaling and drawing. Here we are at the Cathedral of Barcelona. There's always a lot going on here, from people taking the typical stylish photo for their Instagram, to kids playing games, to musicians performing. I think this time, we even had a few people almost plow tourists over with their electric scooters. It was really nice to see the cathedral this time because last time I was here, there was scaffolding up all around the second tier, which you can see in the center, and that was actually covered over and made into one big Samsung ad. Continuing our walk, we passed through the original square of Barcelona, from when the city was first developed, and on to the Arc de Triomphe, which was constructed as the main entrance for the 1888 World Fair. The atmosphere was really cool, with the sun making everything a bit golden orange, and a street performer was playing that one instrumental song that we all know, but we don't know the name of. And yes, part of the plan was to eventually get Peter a toner. Day 3 was a Tuesday, which meant Peter had class online until 4 p.m. Kimmy and I left him all set up to do that in the apartment, and we headed out into the nearby neighborhood. We did a little bit of work at a cafe. Kimmy was networking, having just gotten her physics PhD from Yale, and I was preparing my personal statement for my application to Scotland's Clinical Scientist Training Program. Then, after eating our sandwiches for lunch in the park, we took a different small hike that I had never been on before. We met Peter back at home and headed out to a vegetarian Indian restaurant and had some amazing food. Then just took a walk through town and sat outside to have some alcohol-free beers. Day 4, we headed out to Tibidabo, which is yet another hill overlooking Barcelona. We took the funicular to Valvitrera, possibly, which is a small town pretty high up and has a nice trail you can take that connects to Tibidabo. Valvitrera has a great view of the city in parts and has so many Spanish-looking buildings, including one I thought looked like the style that Spanish hobbits would definitely have adopted. Here is the top of Tibidabo, featuring the Sagrada Church. The church took 60 years to complete, with building having started in 1902. The really interesting thing about this to me is that there is an amusement park on the hill as well, with the entrance not 10 meters from the foot of the church's stairs. I don't think I've ever seen such a sudden juxtaposition between historical and sacred, and modern consumerism. It actually reminds me of the Sacré-Cœur in Paris, which sits right on top of Montmartre, which is just above the red light district. Anyway, here we are inside the lower level. This is the most beautiful part of the church for sure, and it's free. You can pay to go up to the top, which I think is worth it to do once for the views it gives you of the city. Plus, Tibidabo is easy to see from anywhere in Barcelona, and it's cool to be able to look at it, see the big gold Jesus, and think you were right at his feet not long ago. Kimmy also brought her binoculars again, so we had a fun time trying to spot things, especially with Peter now being more familiar with the city. I was filled with fear as my wonderful dyspraxic fiancé put more attention into recording videos for us than being careful on the steps, and we went into the second level of the church. On the way back down, we took, you guessed it, a little hiking path. The weather was beautiful and the sun was out, and Peter finally managed to photosynthesize their way through Scottish hibernation mode and into holiday mode. I'm still convinced I've never seen Peter so relaxed before or since. It was a really relaxing walk, and when we got into the city, it was all kinds of colors. The sun seems to have a unique way of hitting Barcelona. Wandering for quite a while, we finished off our night by grabbing some churros and heading to get a quick look at Sagrada Famíliar. Day 5 was our last full day in the city, so we really wanted to make the most of it, and we knew exactly what we were going to do. We were headed to Montjuic, which I believe is Catalan for Jewish mountain, and is Rob's favorite part of the city. I'm not sure if I'm recalling those facts correctly, but they sound right to me. Montjuic is really cool. There's a castle up there, and behind it is something of a botanic garden of sorts. At least some very cool gardens. So we headed off up to the castle, saw a very talented artist there. Peter also pranked me into thinking that I was having a picture taken when it was in fact a video. Classic.
Can we take our photo?
Uh-huh. Great.
At the top of the mountain, there's also an old Olympic ring, but we didn't see it because it's a little bit out of the way, and I believe it's closed, and I think Kimmy said it's pretty run down. It's so interesting, all these buildings that people build for specific events that they don't maintain, or even just that time gets to, and they're allowed to collapse. Staying on top of the hill, but leaving the castle grounds and the gardens, you can follow a road that will eventually take you through another quite cool piece of garden that you can see us walking through just here. Continuing along the road, you'll eventually get to a restaurant and bar that actually sits just above an old public pool. And the stairs are so steep and have such a drop that you get a really good view of the city. We sat here for a while and ate some olives and some fries, and then we decided to move on. There's actually a cable car that connects Montjuic to the beach. The cable car provided really good views, and there were a couple times when it hit bumps in the rail and it jolted the car and we all kind of startled, but the person in the car with us, who was the attendant, was kind of just unfazed on her phone the whole time, which made us laugh. And we were so lucky because we were actually the only ones in this cable car. Arriving at the beach, it was nice and sunny, but it was January, so there was a little chill in the air, and Peter and I were completely unprepared and did not pack our swimsuits. But Kimmy did, and unsurprisingly, she was straight in the water. We then continued our walk along the beach, constantly and firmly refusing the many people who came by trying to sell us things. Vendors would walk right up to you asking if you wanted a massage, if you wanted a beach towel, if you wanted a mixed drink, all sorts of stuff. As we walked, we decided there was more Spanish stuff that we simply had to try while we were there. So of course, we went on the hunt for some paella. Once we'd finished with that, we decided to head for some vegan gelato that Kimmy had seen before, and we actually passed a really cool church that we took a moment to stop and go inside. And here's us with our gelato. We had pistachio, and I think Peter had pecan, if I'm remembering correctly. It was a very cute shop. And then we walked home from there, and that concluded our last full day in Barcelona. On our last day, we got a particularly late start and just crossed the road to the cafe again to grab a coffee. It was a slow, short, and rainy day, which was actually amazing because Barcelona was under a high drought warning while we were there, and we'd been taking ultra short showers and conserving the water in buckets while waiting for it to warm up. All we did this day was grab some really tasty lunch. I actually really enjoyed all the food we made and ate because all three of us are vegan. It's not often that we aren't the odd ones out food-wise, so we really made the best of it. This visit was really special to me because it was the last time I'll be able to visit Kimmy in Barcelona. She's moving with her partner to Boston this fall, so we'll be really far apart again soon. It was also special having Peter there because my first time in Barcelona was for my birthday in 2023, 1 week after I met Peter. I remember thinking about him constantly and wondering if next time we'd be traveling together.